The old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it is to this end that we are discussing our divine community, because that is part of how we're going to get where we're going, is when we all unite as a community and move forward. And the divine community is a concept from Dr. Martin Luther King and his concept of a beloved community in which all share the wealth of the earth, and violations of human decency are not tolerated. Now, this is these are two very basic things to shoot for in our divine community. There's so much that can be done if we can get to this point of just sharing and not tolerating man's inhumanity to man, us not treating each other well. So we want to move into this concept of divine community for the world, and even our divine community here at CSLD amongst us. So how do we do that? How do we build this in a world that is not looking to share and a world that often turns its head to ignore the inhumane ways that we treat each other? How can we go from ignorance to actually doing something about the world? How are we going to get together? Well, we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to tell you about our vacation that we just had. Heather and I just got back from Ohio, and we had a lovely time in Cincinnati, visiting in-laws. Heather's family's from Cincinnati. And so we were visiting and having a great time. But in order to get to Cincinnati, there's something that we must do. We must go to the airport. Now, the airport is one of those magical spaces, okay? I talk about traffic a lot and how inside of the car is like a magical space. Well, the inside of an airport is also a magical space, and it's a place of extreme conditions. And I've experienced the full range of emotions. I have to travel sometimes for work, and I've experienced the full range of emotions inside the airport. I have been at my happiest. I have been at my saddest. I have been frustrated and angry. I have felt separated and alone. And I've had deeply spiritual moments with people that I have never met before, with complete strangers. All of these things happen within the airport because everyone in the airport has somewhere to go, has somewhere to be, has something to do. And they all feel a certain way about what they're doing. And it's usually at the height of the emotion. So I'm excited about going here. I'm excited about so-and-so coming to visit me. I'm running for my flight. I mean, there's all kinds of different things happening inside the airport. So it's a very interesting place to observe human behavior. And it's kind of like my thing. I like doing that. So this was our first flight in the COVID era. And of course, masks are mandatory. And this is my first experience throughout all of this. This is my first experience of flying in the COVID era. And it is also my first experience of wearing a mask all day long. I'm lucky I'm in a job where I don't have to wear a mask. And so this is my first experience of having it all day, because it takes all day to get to Ohio. And from the time that you enter into the airport to the time that you have your luggage and you're leaving the airport, you're wearing a mask. And they're announcing every 5 minutes that you need to be wearing a mask. And they also announce the proper way to wear a mask over your mouth and over your nose and over your nose. And they say this many times, you hear it all the time, no matter where you go, as soon as you walk into the airport. So I'm being a good boy at the airport. I'm wearing my mask and I'm wearing it the right way. And there's a special feeling that comes over you after you've worn a mask, say for 8 hours straight, and you look around you at your fellow human beings. Some of them aren't wearing their mask properly. And there's a certain feeling that wells up as I'm suffering the pain of this mask and the inconvenience of this mask. And I look over and I see someone that's not wearing it right. And it makes me a little upset. I don't know about you, but I get a little upset. I get a little judgmental. Okay. So I'm not at my best. And then what's more, this is what gets me more than that even. We made it to our gate. We're sitting there, we've got our masks on. We're sitting at the gate, we're waiting to board the plane. People are walking up every once in a while, somebody will walk up and they'll need to talk to the airline attendant that is there about something about their seat. They want to switch a seat, they're on standby, whatever. I've watched people wearing their mask incorrectly, like over their mouth and with their nose sticking out, get into this line, and it's just before they talk to the person at the ticket counter, the person that works for the airline, they put the mask over their nose and then go and talk to the person. And I think to myself, I'm sitting over there looking at them, I'm thinking, look at that. They're big and bold about wearing their masks the wrong way. And as soon as they come in front of an authority figure that's going to tell them to wear the mask right, then they wear the mask right. And then as soon as they get done talking to them, they go and sit down and they wear the mask wrong again. Look, it was a long day. It was a long day of flying. I've been wearing my mask. Okay, that's how I'm excusing myself. I have a short temper with these folks. So I'm like, okay, yeah, these weasels that are just wearing their mask, and then they only wear it the right way when they're being watched by authority, and then they start obeying the rules magically. So this violates my sense of justice and everything else, and it just kind of makes the trip a little, I've got an axe to grind, and it kicks in my judgment reflex. Okay, I don't want to just judge people, but sometimes I have a reflexive action. When I see something, I judge it. And it's before I can grab a hold of my brain to stop it. And this is one of those occasions. So here I am, all wrapped up in my judgments. Fast forward to after the trip. So we flew back on Saturday. We're back at home. Monday, I've got a dentist appointment. Not a big deal. I just got to go in for a cleaning, but I go in. So I go in bright and early Monday morning, and I sit down at the chair, and the dental hygienist that's working on my mouth is someone that's been doing this for years and that has been cleaning my teeth for at least a decade. So we have a really good relationship. I come in and say, "Hi, Mary, how's it going?" And we chop it up. I sit down. "Yeah, I just got back from Ohio." I sit back in the chair. She puts me back in the chair, and then she starts working. And as she's working on my mouth, she says to me, "Oh, hey, you've been flossing regularly, right?" And I said to her, "Uh-huh." Now, that might not be entirely true. I want to flush. I want to floss, and I have the intent to floss, but I don't. Did I say that to Mary, my good friend, dental hygienist, and tell her the truth? No, I didn't. I lied and said that I do floss I have been flossing regularly. Yep, I sure have. I looked her right in the eye. And I lied to her. And as you know, it's something that I've done before. I'm comfortable with it. We continue on with the appointment. And then as I'm leaving, it dawns on me, oh my goodness, I'm just like those people that were wearing the mask that wear it sometimes and sometimes they don't wear it. I am showing that same amount of integrity or lack of integrity in my life. That thing that I was so upset about seeing, that behavior, those weasels are within me. Those behaviors, those tendencies are within me and they come out. There's no difference between what I'm doing by lying to my dental hygienist and what they're doing by not wearing the mask right for the entire time that they're in the airport. Okay? That thing that I despise is also alive in me. Okay? That's a difficult thing to swallow sometimes when you realize it's like, man, that person that really upset me, they're kind of like me and I'm kind of like them. I have those tendencies. We share those tendencies. And it's a really kind of a backwards way to come to unity, but we are united. We're identical. There's nothing different about me. I've got all those same tendencies. Sometimes I am able to fight them off and I can detect them. And other times, my race consciousness just takes over and I just do them. But we are alike. And if we are going to enter into a divine community, if I want to be in divine community with the rest of the world, I have to understand that I'm never speaking from on high. I'm always at eye level with everyone, equal, 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 equal. That is the rule of the day: equal power, equal access, equal love, equal challenge. So that is a lesson that I learned. It's a trap to think to yourself, oh, if that were me, I would do it differently. If that were me, I'd be wearing my mask all the time. If that were me, I'd make different decisions. Have you ever said that about anyone? Anybody? Okay, all right. We got some honest people. Some honest people have spoken up. Yes, we see someone on TV doing something and we think, if that were me, I would not make those choices. But that is a very dangerous way to look at the world. It's very unrealistic. Because if you think about it, just that first statement, if I were you, if I were them, if you were me, then you would know everything that I've been through. You would know everything that I experienced. If you were me, you would have the same physiological makeup. You would have grown up in the same environment. You would have had the same influences. You would have the same strengths and weaknesses and all of these things. If you were me, you would make the exact same decisions that I made because you're me. Are you getting that? If you are truly me, then you're going to do exactly the same thing that I'm doing. If you're me as you, then you're going to do the things that you would do, but that's not what I would do because I'm me. So we can't actually get into other people's shoes and make decisions for them. And it's a little irrational to think that, to kind of sit on high and think, well, me, who hasn't had any of the influences of this other person, would live their life a lot better than they are. We can't meet people from where we want them to be or from where we think they should be. We have to meet people where they are. and understand that at the end of the day, beyond all conditions, beyond all circumstances, we are shards of the infinite. That's what we are. We are pieces of the infinite being, and we're all identical. And we are shards of the infinite wrapped in the condition of our lives. Who we are, what we are, where we are. All of these things are our conditions, but they're all wrapped around a perfect representation of God. That's where we all are. And that is the truth of who we are. So this isn't all bad. This exploration into oneness and this divine community. All the revelations weren't bad that I had on this trip. We had something else happen. And this was on the last leg of the trip. And that's usually like the longest, takes the longest time, even if it's a short flight of an hour, or if it's a long flight of 5 hours and 8 hours, that last leg before you get home is kind of psychologically like the longest leg. That's the most difficult part to get through for me. So we're on our last leg coming home from Ohio. We board the plane, everything's cool. I get all prepared, and I'm an experienced traveler. So I get out all the stuff that I'm gonna need from my bags, and I set it on my chair so I don't have to keep going back and forth to the bag, right? Great idea. So I get out all of our stuff and I put it on my seat. We get on the seat, I get my seatbelt on, and hey, I'm ready to go. And then we're sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. And then the pilot comes on and says, we're experiencing a little bit of trouble, a little bit of difficulty. We can't get the second engine started. Ah, okay. That's a first for me, but I guess it happens. And so he says, don't worry, we've got mechanics coming on board. They're gonna take a look at it, and they should have us going here in no time. Fantastic. So we're sitting there waiting. And then I hear a woman from a few rows back. She starts complaining loud. I want to get off this plane. I don't want to be on a plane that has one engine that might not work, that doesn't turn on. I don't want to be on this plane. I want to be off of here. And she's getting worried. She's voicing her concerns, which are valid concerns. She wants to get off the plane. So we wait about an hour for them to fix this. And then the pilot comes on and says, well, it turns out that we can't fix this right now, but fortunately we have another plane that's just one gate over, the exact same plane and the exact same everything. So all we have to do is get off of the plane that we're on, get on to the next plane. All of our seat assignments are the same. Everything is exactly identical. So we're getting ready to get off the plane. Unfortunately, as I said before, all my stuff is out. I've got like all my stuff everywhere. I'm getting ready for a 5-hour trip. So when it comes time for our row to depart, I'm getting the bag out of the overhead. I'm stuffing our stuff into it. I'm hurrying and rushing because everybody's way back behind waiting to get off the flight. So I'm hurrying. As I'm putting stuff away and hustling visibly, I hear that same woman from a few rows back. And she says, some people should just set aside and let people get off the plane so we can all get off this plane. We shouldn't have to be waiting around for some people. That was as I was getting done. So Reverend David, what did Reverend David do upon hearing this? Well, I turned my head and I shot laser beams from my eyes. And then I went back to doing my thing. I gave her a good look. You know the look that you give people when you're displeased. I want you to know I'm displeased. And you give them that look. And all that I could do was from my eyes, because of course I have a mask on. So I did the best evil look that I could give just with my eyes. So I look back, and then I couldn't see where she was because I didn't actually see the woman talking. I could just hear her voice. So I just shot back and gave it to everybody that's back there. Okay, all of you are going to get my evil look. And one of you is going to deserve it, but all the rest of you got it. So I'm hustling, and this is at the end of a long day. So please give me some latitude, okay? It's been a long day. I've been traveling all day. So we get off the plane, and Heather had twisted her knee really bad on this trip. So she was walking very slowly down the jetway. So I sent her on ahead, and I was packing up our bag. So we make it down the jetway out into the gate, and they're cleaning up the other planes so that we could get on it. So as I'm sitting there looking through my bag, making sure that I've got everything, I feel a tap on my shoulder. And so I look behind me, and it's a woman standing there, and she says, "You know what? I'm sorry that I said that to you earlier on the plane. That was rude, and I should not have said it. I was really agitated about getting off the plane, and I really wanted to be off the plane, and you know, and I said that, and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me." I was not prepared for that. That hit me like a ton of bricks. And upon her saying that, I reached out for her hand. And she put her hand in mine, and I put my hand over it, and I said, "It's absolutely no problem. All is forgiven. It's been a long day, and it's been a long day for us. I'm sure it's been a long day for you, and there are no problems. Everything is fine." And she said, "Well, you just have a wonderful trip, and you just take care of yourself and take care of your wife, and make sure that you guys, you know, get on that plane and get all your stuff, and, you know, and God bless you." And we parted. Amazing. Amazing. Rarely does that happen when someone is overtly rude to you and then comes back 5 minutes later to apologize, to give you the gift of lifting that burden from you, because it is a burden. When being mad is a burden, okay? When I'm mad, I got to remember that I'm mad. If I forget that I'm mad and I start feeling lighter, I'm like, "Oh, I was mad about something. Oh yeah, that's right. I am mad." And then you put that burden back on, and it's something that you wear. It weighs you down. And even though I was trying to deal with it mentally, she gave me a great gift by lifting that load right off of me. Okay? But it wasn't just her. I also took part in this because my nature is I'm looking to love. I'm looking to love everyone first. That's what I want to do. And that's what I practice doing. But it's not always top of mind, especially when somebody does something to me or when somebody says something to me that I may not agree with. It's a lot more difficult to pull out that love. But the love was there and ready. And when she lifted my load just a little bit, I was there and I was ready to accept it. You may think that, of course, you're going to accept her apology. Of course, David, somebody comes up to you to apologize. Of course, you're going to accept it. What kind of monster are you? But it's an option. It's a choice. Depending on how mad she made me, I may not let it go. I may say, "Oh yeah, all is forgiven." Grumble, 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 grumble. Have you ever done that? Said, "Oh, sure, no problem." And then you go off and you grumble, grumble. And that was my option to do. I could have told her that I accepted her apology and went off to grumble, but I didn't. I opened my heart. I opened my heart, and I could see, yeah, she was upset. Yeah, she was agitated. Yeah, she was afraid. She was fearful. And I know that. And I knew it. And so when she said what she said, that allowed the humanity to come washing in, to just come flooding in, and I could give her an honest and sincere response, which is, there's nothing to forget. I completely forgive you. I completely forgive everything that you said, and I know that it was said in just as you have explained it to me. I fully accept that. I was able to do it. And so I was healed. She was healed by having someone truly accept her apology. The people that were around us were healed by just witnessing what happened. Some people recognize what happened. Wow, that was some love that just happened there. They're strangers, they clashed, anything could have happened, but they made up just in the scope of 5 minutes, and they're both happy. An amazing process. So when we are able to do that, it grows in ways that we cannot ever know. I don't know what witnessing that whole activity did for the other people that saw it. Maybe they went on and said, hey, you know what? Maybe I should apologize for that thing that I did earlier in the day. Maybe something happens later on in the day and they recall that act of offense, apology, forgiveness, love. And they saw that cycle play out and thought, you know, I'm going to apologize for that offense. I'm going to do that too. I want some of that. So as we practice this philosophy, as we practice oneness, as we practice our unity, let us know that each time we do, we're having effects on our entire community. We are uplifting every consciousness that we come in contact with. So that leaves us with today's homework, which is very, very basic homework. As we're building our divine community in the microcosm of our lives and in the macrocosm of the world, be ready. Be ready to love. Be ready to accept someone else's faults might be the same as your faults. Be ready to accept an apology. Be ready to accept love from someone and consideration from someone. Be ready to unite. Be ready to enjoy this divine community, because it's not something that's coming. It's something that is here now. And they say practice makes perfect. But in this case, practice allows perfect. Practice allows the perfection that God is to emerge in everything. And always remember that God loves you. Thank you.